Alright, guys. So, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a response to Lacie Green here on this one. I'm going to be kind of winging it because I haven't watched the video all the way through. But a few parts did catch my eye. So, let's get started.
I finally got around to watching the September GOP debate, and I've never regretted a decision more in my entire life.
Why is it regretful hearing an opposing opinion? Is it because you want to live in an echo chamber where only your opinions are heard? Well, quite frankly, to me, that's a pretty damn dull world. And a world that just beckons to live in ignorance.
I just hope my IQ is intact.
Lacie, from some of the previous videos of yours I've seen, I don't think your IQ has ever been intact. Yeah, a little side note here. I guess I understand why our culture seems to be more basked in ignorance.
Sup folks, Lacie Green here. If it weren't for the fact that these are people who could actually lead our country, watching the circus that is the GOP might actually be entertaining.
Really? Have you seen our current president? Shoot. Have you seen the leading Democrat nominations? Or, well, not nominations, but how do I put this? Potentials? Shoot. So I think there's a lot. It's a hell of a lot better than that.
Instead, I think I might barf. Apparently, sexism is a viable party platform? Who knew? While most GOP...
Really? Sexism is now a viable party platform? What debate were you watching? I don't think I've seen anything on the Republican platform that says it's okay to discriminate on somebody based on their gender. But then again, I mean, I think being a feminist, you probably have discrimination versus non-discrimination based on gender a little bit mixed up. It's been a common trait I've noticed among feminists.
candidates quietly failed to name a single American woman worthy of being honored on the $10 bill.
Okay, was that a question asked, first off? And second off, really? We're getting down to naming a woman who should be on a $10 bill? I think this nation has a little bit more problems than, say, picking who gets to be on a $10 bill, and the fact that we need a woman on the $10 bill. I mean, but if that's what you have to complain about, seriously? That's your big pressing issue? Okay, Lacie, if the majority of women think like you, I don't think that women's suffrage is a good idea after all. Thank God a lot of women do not identify as feminists.
Attacks on Planned Parenthood took front and center. Carly Fiorina took it upon herself to promote blatant propaganda and lies. A senator...
Really? What lies were those? I'm curious. Because every single person who sat there and said that taxpayer funding is going to Planned Parenthood and Planned Parenthood does abortions has really not been proven wrong yet. So I'm honestly concerned to what lies you're talking about.
Elizabeth Warren pointed out, methodical and coordinated attacks against Planned Parenthood are simply one piece of a larger, ongoing Republican war against women.
You know what? Yeah. It's really a war on women there, you know. never mind the women who survived abortions, and now they're speaking out against them. Never mind the women that say, okay, you know what, you're taking another human life. A good percentage of those abortions are female fetuses that get aborted. Just to let you know. No, it's just women. It's just Republicans waging a war on women. You know, hell, even though the only people that lose if they lose their lives, if they lose this war, are fetuses, and some of those fetuses happen to be female.
Exactly 1 year ago, every single Republican senator blocked the Paycheck Fairness Act, even though...
Really? So, did you even read the bill? I don't know. I didn't. I don't know what's in the bill. I already know, though, it's illegal to discriminate when it comes to paychecks based on gender, one. And two, I know that a lot of feminists seem to support things that are promoted by Democrats that have a fancy title on it. It doesn't matter what the law actually says. They just support it. It's kind of like the, quote, Affordable Care Act, which, if you have a basic understanding of cause and effect, which obviously a lot of Democrat voters don't, it didn't make health insurance go down. It didn't make health care costs go down. It only drove them up. But you know what, Lacie? You know what? Just keep on talking. This is just a circus right here. You, in and of yourself, are a circus.
Unequal pay is illegal on the books, in practice, is still a huge problem that results in women getting paid between 54 and 78 cents for every white man's dollar.
Oh no! Now, actually, funny thing is that number was taken from the Census Bureau. And all they did was take average wages versus gender. They didn't take into account other little fancy dancy statistics, such as DOL statistics, which, show that men work on average 5 to 6 hours more a week than women, or the fact that 92% of workplace fatalities are men, which might explain a little bit more why men on average earn $1 to the 77 cents that women earn. Maybe that. In fact, you know what? My last long-term girlfriend identified as a feminist too. But she told me only reason why I made so much was because I have a, quote, penis. Never mind that, I work a 60-hour work week. And she works less than 40 hours a week. Never mind that my job is actually in the top 10 most dangerous jobs in the free world. No, never mind that. The reason why I make more money than she does is just simply because I have a penis. It's because I'm a straight white male. Me working an extra 20 hours a week, that's nothing. That really ain't anything at all. In fact, we all like to be at work longer, right? Deep down inside, even if, we were getting paid the same as 40 hours, right? The fact that my job is quite a bit more dangerous than her job, nah, it's nothing. You know, oh shoot, you know, you're in the top 10 most dangerous jobs, but no, you know, it's nothing. It has to be because of the penis, right?
This cost women millions over their lifetime. The bill would have.
Yeah, and given that, you know, let's compare her 40 hours, 60 hours. That 4 weeks in a month. 20 hours difference. That's 80 hours. That's like 2 full of her work weeks in a month. I mean, should I even go into the calculations over a career period? Jesus Christ. I mean, we could play these tit for tat games all fucking day.
Combated salary secrecy and loopholes that create these pay gaps.
You mean valid reasons for not paying somebody as much because they don't work as much in that week, the job ain't as dangerous, or, you know, they simply work part-time, or, you know, they drop out of the workforce. You know, are those loopholes you're talking about? Please let me know. You know, please, you know, if there's any other loophole, please let me know. Because you know what? All I've seen so far is just reality here. You know, like one person works more in a week than another person. One person has a more physically demanding and more dangerous job than the other person. You know, so clearly it's not the same work, and clearly the difference in pay isn't a discrimination based on gender. But if you can find some real evidence, please do show me.
Gaps. But Republicans are apparently huge fans of those. The party.
Or they're just not willing to engage in your stupidity. Just throwing that out there.
He's also crusaded against the Affordable Care Act, preaching the evils of equality for women. Before the act passed, women paid $1 billion more per year than men for identical insurance plans. With the act.
Wow. So, you know, obviously it has to be hatred toward women why you would oppose that, quote, Affordable Care Act. It wasn't for the reason I pointed out earlier. And by the way, that was a lucky guess that it was that was coming up. But you know, no, it couldn't have been for the reason why you know, mandating insurance or facing a 2.5% tax or fine, just depending on which audience the Democrats are arguing that in front of, be it the American public or the Supreme Court. No. It has to be discrimination against women. And given your take on the Census Bureau's average numbers of pay in women versus men, and your obvious jumping to conclusion that it has to be discrimination, I just can't take you seriously on this one. Women pay billions more for the exact same plan? Nah. But if you want to know, I pay more for my auto insurance than a woman does. It's just the same with, I think, pretty much all guys. You know, so maybe we should maybe we should make those rates equal, too, you know? Just saying. Or prison sentences for, you know, the exact same crime committed. You know, maybe we should make that equal, too. But I doubt Lacie will be taking this cause up anytime soon.
Act, for the first time ever, insurance is required to cover things like birth control, maternity leave, and cancer screenings for women. The act was passed 5 years ago, and the GOP is still fighting it.
So it's not the exact same plan, right? Who expects insurance to pay for their birth control? I know I don't. You know, it's called condoms. They're not expensive by any stretch. I pay for them myself. Oh, and just in case you're wondering, I know it's kind of hard for feminists to think. I know critical thinking is a very hard thing for you. So here's an idea. If those birth control pills are too expensive, what you need to do is you need to go down to your local pharmacy, pick some of these bad boys up. So when you bring a guy home from the bar, do you have a condom? No, I don't. Well, guess what? I have a condom. Put it on. Not only does that protect you against pregnancy, it also protects you against STDs. Maternity leave? Well, I don't see any insurance companies covering paternity leave. I don't see many employers covering paternity leave at that. It just seems to be the women. Cancer screenings? Well, shoot. It's pretty well known that more donations go to breast cancer than prostate cancer. So, what are you complaining about? So, pretty much what you're saying is this is not the exact same plans. You just admitted that yourself. Do you not realize how stupid you sound? I mean, I don't even have to debate you. You just blew your own point right there. Wow. Good Lord. Shoot. And speaking of which, while we're on it, statistically speaking, a woman's far more likely to go to a doctor for some menial problem, right? And a guy is more likely to suck it up, and deal with it. Which in time saves on healthcare costs when you're willing to suck it up and deal with a little bit of a headache or stomach ache. So maybe that's another factor involved in this here. Just saying.
I'll stay mad. And if you thought the anti-woman diatribe couldn't get any more infuriating, consider that Republican men also seem to believe that they're experts on rape.
Wow. I thought you went full retard before. But wow. The only people who I've seen ever claim they were experts on rape were feminists. Oh, and by the way, the real experts on it, namely like law enforcement officers, a lot of them generally tend to be men, and a lot of them generally tend to be Republican. Just want to let you know that, right? But we know what the real deal is here. And the fact of the matter is that it's a group of feminists that have decided they were going to redefine rape to the point where, it could be a night where a guy and a girl go home together, and then the girl regrets it in the morning, and now it's all of a sudden rape. Hey, Lacie, you're a feminist. You're up on all the feminist lingo. You've heard of the term stair rape, right? Well, it would turn out that no sane individual would consider that rape. But feminists are constantly trying to get stair rape counted as rape. So even looking at a woman the wrong way now is all of a sudden rape. I mean, this is just proof you guys are grasping at straws here. I'll tell you what. You want to, if anybody seems to think we have a, quote, rape culture here in the U.S., you may want to go to the Middle East. I know, I've been to the Middle East. Here in the West, and fits the legal definition of rape, and you get convicted of it. Hell, most times you don't even have to get convicted of it. All you have to do is get accused of it, and your life is pretty well ruined. But you get convicted of rape here in the U.S., you're fucked. There ain't no two ways about it. But you know what? Again, I'd say I doubt you've been to the Middle East, but that would be an understatement. I know you haven't been to the Middle East. So, where do you even go with that? I could do a whole fucking video on how stupid that comment sounds. Because one, obviously, the only people who are claiming to be experts on rape are feminists. And a lot of their definitions of rape are fucking kooky. Second, a lot of the fucking law enforcement officers who do handle that sort of thing are Republicans. I would take their word over yours. And I know this is going to be hard for you to believe, but I'm not even Republican. I'm libertarian.
It's the literally thousands of anti-abortion bills that they've introduced. The party has rarely, if ever, produced an anti-rape bill. And that's probably because they're too busy telling Americans things like, rape is kind of like the weather. If it's inevitable, just sit back and enjoy it.
Lacie, I think about the only other thing you can get a harsher sentence for than rape is murder. And even then, if you don't get life in prison for murder, one, or you don't get the death penalty for murder, one, if you get out of prison after committing murder, you still don't have to register as a sex offender. With rape, you do. And rape, well, it's punished pretty goddamn harshly too under our law if you get convicted of it. Just wanted to throw that reality out there. Now, I know the legal definition of rape is not exactly what you feminists want it to be. I know that it's not illegal to look at a woman the wrong way, and I know that it's not exactly illegal if maybe two consenting adults showed some bad judgment and the woman, regretted it the next day after, and that's what you really want classified as rape. But, the simple fact of the matter is that rape, is one of the oldest crimes. How do I put it? It's always been considered morally reprehensible by society. And that's why, it's a felony. And that's why it's one of the stiffest penalties you can get if you get convicted of rape. Sorry to burst your bubble on that one, reality must be something so hard for you to grasp. And I almost forgot. Who says sit back and enjoy it? I want you to name one Republican who says sit back and enjoy it. I want you to name one Libertarian who said sit back and enjoy it. Hell, name the most chauvinistic pig you can think of that said sit back and enjoy it. You know, and all the anti-abortion bills versus the quote anti-rape bills. You know, good Lord, you're talking about apples and oranges here. Hate to break it to you, but there are some people that consider human life, even when it's still in the womb. You know, funny how you feminazis can't seem to argue that point. Funny how you can never come up with any viable argument on that one. Wow. God, I can't believe I'm wasting my time with this retard.
Or if it's a legitimate rape, the female body will shut that pregnancy down. They apologize.
Yeah, and the candidate that made that claim was shut out pretty quickly. He was shunned even by members of his own party. So, I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, he's already been rebuked even by other Republicans. But statistically speaking, not many rapes result in pregnancy. It's an unusually low number, and scientists really haven't been able to explain that number. Just want to throw that fact out there. And I don't think anybody has an objection to an abortion in the case of rape, but that's not what we're arguing here, is it? It's just that when feminists and other pro-abortionist or abortion activists get called on something like a partial birth abortion or even worse, infanticide, they always revert to, well, what if the woman was raped? Well, we're not talking about that. We're talking about a woman had consensual sex and she waited till the child was almost born until she made that, quote, choice. You know? So, don't even go there. You've already lost. The fact that you would change the argument or try to change or make it seem like the debate was over something different is an admission you fucking lost.
But that doesn't mean much when it happens repeatedly for decades.
Bullshit. You can only name one instance where somebody has made that claim. And that's it. You know, it's not happened for decades.
Party's shockingly inhumane handling of violent sexual crimes are the reason my friends and I now call them Republicans.
You know what? No Republican I've known has ever wanted to deny a woman the right to keep and use the tools available to her to protect herself from that rape. You know who has, though? The feminists. Like when that beauty pageant, you know what, I don't even remember the exact beauty pageant it was or anything like that. I just remember the fact that a contestant in a beauty pageant suggested, as part of her plan to reduce rapes, that women learn to defend themselves, you know, by learning martial arts. And your little feminist buddies there sat there and said she was promoting rape culture. You know, so get the fuck out of here on that one, you know? I mean, which party is it again that sits there and says, well, no, you can't carry here. No, we need more background checks. We need more regulations. We need more bans on firearms. You know, even to women that are simply just trying to purchase a tool to protect themselves from actual rapists. You know, Which party did that again? Yeah, it certainly wasn't the Republicans, generally speaking.
This is only the tip of the iceberg, of course, and the big question is, why? Why does the GOP hate women so much? And
Actually, I think the GOP has been pretty protective of women in many cases. Even in cases where I wouldn't be so protective myself. So, what the hell are you talking about?
really anyone who's not a rich, straight, cisgender, white, Christian man. The GOP.
Right, because we have to use the progressive stack here. Because we can't judge somebody based on their merits. No. Martin Luther King's words are outdated. Don't judge somebody based on the color of their skin, but the content of their character. Equal protection, equal opportunity under the rule of law is like a totally outdated concept. You're right. We've got to, come in there and say, well, because you're this color or this gender or whatever, we've got to make special laws. We can't just simply have it as, okay, these are the set rules, everybody has equal opportunity. No. Unless there are certain special privileges set aside to somebody because of their gender, their race, whatever. No, we have to make that. Yeah, right.
He will, of course, deny hating women because they don't think that discrimination is hate.
Really? And what type of discrimination has ever put women at a disadvantage in our modern world? I hear a lot of Democrats claiming that voter ID laws discriminate against minorities and women and whatnot, but they seem to leave out the simple fact that if you're a male ages 18 to 26, you have to register for selective service before you can vote. So, reality would dictate that if there's any discrimination going on against anybody, it'd be the males. Just throwing that out there. But you know what, Lacie? I know you haven't said anything about that. I know feminists brush it off. Hell, you know what? The person who reinstituted selective service was a feminist. No, he still is a feminist himself. It was Jimmy Carter. So our ability to vote hangs on the balance of whether or not we registered for selective service. And I'm a veteran of the Army. I've served. But you know what? It doesn't mean I can't see that reality and can't say, well, hey, you know what? We either need to take that off the table for men or, we need to make women register for selective service before we claim that we're doing all this discrimination against women. Just saying.
Back in the 1980s, Republicans took up family values as a party platform. They support traditional values, which is code for dated as hell sexism and other crap that we should be over by now. Women.
I agree. We should get rid of those. The old rule, like you don't hit a woman, the Violence Against Women Act, even though statistically speaking, you're more likely to be a victim of violent crime if you're a male. Let's see, selective service, that's another good one. In all honesty, under a traditionalist society, under a true traditionalist society, both men and women had sacrifices they had to make and had responsibilities they were supposed to fulfill. And what feminists sought to do was remove the responsibilities for women while giving them all the liberties of male that men had, you know. Which is cool if you want to say get rid of the responsibilities for both and give them the equal freedom. But it's really pretty damn discriminatory when you only do it for one gender. You know? Just throwing that out there. I mean, how many times have we heard, but when a man does it, it doesn't even have to have any bearing on reality. All it has to do, is just simply put that line out there. But when a man does it, well, how about this one? But when a woman hits a man, yeah. Lacie, you are. I'd like to say I'm shocked, but I'm not. You absolutely have no grasp on reality here, do you?
Aren't seen as true equals. We are biologically less capable as leaders, as intellectuals, and we certainly can't be trusted to make decisions for ourselves.
You know what, Lacie? I agree with you 100%. Let's bring the Army's APFT standards for females to the same level as males. Don't fucking whine, by the way, when a lot of females get chaptered out. I agree, it's an outdated concept to treat women as if they're any less of a man or any less capable than a man. So you know what? We should treat a female who can't rack a mall deuce like a man can, the same as a man who has trouble racking that mall deuce. I 100% agree with you on that one. In fact, when a woman has trouble with her leadership abilities, I don't know, because she's a little bit bossy, I think we should treat her the same as a man who's a little bit bossy. We'll see how that turns out.
Men are in charge, unless it comes to domestic stuff and popping out babies. Right-wing extremists see themselves as following a natural order. The order supposedly ordained by a Christian God, and they take every opportunity to let us know about it. And yet, separation of church and state is kind of a thing, y'all, and the government...
So, I agree in the concept of a separation between church and state, but when the feminists want to put their dogma aside when it comes to separation of church and state themselves, that is one I have yet to figure out. Well, maybe feminists, you can tell me at what point exactly that you are going to put your dogma aside when it comes to the state.
Shouldn't be sponsoring any particular religion, nor should our leaders be promoting sexism, homophobia, and transphobia under the banner of family values. The good news, though...
You know what? I agree. I 100% agree that we shouldn't be using state to promote certain values. However, feminist family values haven't worked out too well now, have they? I mean, especially considering the fact that a lot of criminals come from single mother homes. So, I don't think feminist values have worked out too well. Just throwing that out there.
Is that none of these goons will have a chance of taking office if women don't vote them in. So crew, I think we all know what to do. Stay braless, y'all. I'll see you next Friday.
Yeah, I suppose if all the women in the nation got out and voted against them, it'd be pretty hard for them to win. There's a few factors you haven't taken into account, though. Most Americans don't vote. That would be the first one. Second one, to get a majority, you would still need at least some men to vote on that. Third, you're assuming that all women fucking vote. Like it was their first time having sex, like Leanna Dunham, with that infomercial, or, I don't know, Sandra Fluke, who is so strong and independent yet needs other people to pay for her birth control. I don't know, I guess you're right. If all the women voted as you said they should vote, maybe they get the candidate that you want. But the fact of the matter is, Lacie, you don't speak for all women. That's just how it is. I mean, now, you feminists can claim that you're for women and for everything like that, But the fact of the matter is you're not. You have your own little interests that you're voting for and that you want to force down everyone else's throat. I mean, honestly, I don't even know why I should try to continue. I think I got through the whole video. I'm not sure. But, let's see what we got left.
So, you're a feminist now, and it's about to get problematic up in here.
Lacie, I'm about the furthest thing away from a feminist that you can possibly imagine, especially after listening to you.